Sometimes side dishes don't get as much love as they should, but not this side dish. This fennel and hummus side is so delicious. In fact, I would just eat this as a main with some crusty bread. Now, I've got a large fennel bulb here, but you can use 2 smaller ones, and I'm going to cut this into 6 portions. Fennel is such a wonderful and versatile vegetable. You could have it raw, so just really finely chopped in a coleslaw or a salad. It's also great baked, steamed, and braised, just like I'm doing. Now, braising it is my favourite way of serving it because you get that caramelisation on the outside, and then it's really soft and tender in the centre. So you want to leave the core in because it's going to hold its shape, and I'm going to cut that into 3 pieces, and we're just going to trim the bases just ever so slightly like that, just to tidy it up, but not cutting too much or else they'll fall apart. We'll do that to the other side of the fennel. And I'm also leaving some of the stalk on because as this cooks, it actually goes quite tender too. Okay, we need to sear these off to start with. So in a saute pan on a high heat, I'll add a splash of olive oil, and I also love the addition of some butter. So a small knob of butter can go in, about 20 grams, and just let that melt away while we start to add our fennel. And you can see how big just 1 bulb of fennel, this is going to be enough for 4 people as a side easily. So in they go, and the last little one can just go here. Going to season this with some salt. And we're just going to give that about 2 to 3 minutes on each side or until we get some nice colour. You really want it to caramelise because that golden colour is also going to give us a lovely sauce which we'll use to drizzle over the hummus later on. We've got some good colour, so we can add a spice blend now. I'm using some za'atar. It's got a beautiful tangy flavour because there's sumac in it. It's got lots of dried spices like oregano, thyme. Sometimes there's some marjoram in it, and it also has some sesame seeds for a nutty flavour. So I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top. I love za'atar. It's such a great spice blend, and it goes really nicely with the fennel. So another little sprinkle of that. Now this needs to cook low and slow, so we're going to add our water. And that's going to form a lovely sauce, especially when it's mixed in with the butter and the za'atar, and also some molasses. So just a little drizzle of pomegranate molasses, and that's going to give it a nice tangy sweetness. All right, one last little jiggle. Lid can go on. I'll turn that down to a low heat and let that cook for about 25 minutes or until the fennel are tender. All right, have a look at the transformation and the smell. I wish you were here to smell this because it smells so good with that za'atar. Now just let them sit here while we start plating up. So we start with a base of hummus. Now this one's fantastic because it's got a lovely creamy texture. It's also made in the traditional way. So be generous with the hummus. You don't want just a small amount, you want a few big dollops of this. So we said this is a side dish. So this is almost like the mashed potato, if you like. So you can be quite generous. In fact, I use a whole tub of my hummus. And with the back of the spoon, we're going to spread it out. So instead of serving this with some mash or some rice, the hummus is the heartier part of it. Essentially, it's chickpeas and tahini, so it's a great substitute. Now we'll top this with our lovely wedges of fennel. They're super soft, so we're going to be quite careful not to break them up too much. And we just pile them on top of the hummus. Great. Now all those lovely za'atar pan juices, we'll drizzle them over the top and around the dish. And we've got that fluffy hummus there, the tender fennel. Now we need some texture, some crunch. So we're going to get that from some nuts. I'm using toasted walnuts. I'm going to roughly chop them over the top. And for an extra pop of sweetness, I know that we've got the molasses in there, but I like an extra pop of it at the end. I'm going to use cranberries. You could also use sultanas or raisins. So the nuts go over the top. Won't waste any, add all of them over there. And some of these cranberries, I like them because they're quite zingy too. And they go really nicely with that hummus. And And finally, some herbs. I happen to have some dill. You could actually just use the fennel fronds if you had any left from your fennel tops. Place that around the dish, and some parsley if you have. Just pick them, don't need to chop it, and just let them fall over the dish. A final drizzle of olive oil over the top and around. A little sprinkle of salt. And that is not a plain, boring side. That is a really exciting side. Serve that with a roast chook, slow cooked lamb, or have it as is with some crusty bread and maybe not make it a side, maybe make it an entree. Regardless, that is super delicious and a really great way to show off fennel and hummus.